Welcome inside the Hall of Fame. I'm Booker T, six-time world champ, two-time Hall of Famer. Got my man Brad Gilmore here with me. They call him the BOAT, and we're ready to do this thing, guys. I don't have a whole lot for you today, but today I guess we can call it what you want. All right, whatever you want, guys. Whatever you need. We're here inside the Hall of Fame, getting your champagne wishes and caviar dream. Hey man, how you feel today, man? Because I've been playing golf all day long. I totally had to check out, unplugged for a second. Went out on the golf course, kicked it with my man Fred, and we had some fun. And I cannot wait to get back out there because today I was playing like Tiger Woods. Everything was working. I'm talking about the driver, the 3-wood, the 3-iron, the putter everything was working today. And I hadn't been out on the golf course in about 2 months. So I'm excited. And the thing is, every time I'm away from the golf course, I go back, I play well. And after that, everything goes downhill. So hopefully I figured something out.
You know what's so bad about the time that we're living in? By the way, I'm doing good, Book. We have a lot to talk about, actually. But yeah, again, if you have any super chats, questions, you want to talk about what happened on AEW last night, you want to talk about the Elimination Chamber coming up, of course, UFC 271 around the corner, the NBA trade deadline, which is always my favorite thing. I've realized my favorite things as a basketball fan are trade deadlines and off-season free agency. But what I was going to say is when you're saying you were talking about you're playing like Tiger.
Yeah.
You know, like when a joke pops in your head and you know it's not an appropriate thing to say.
Yeah.
But you can't help it sometimes.
You say it anyway.
Do you say it all the time anyway? Is that what happens?
I do it all the time. And I know I shouldn't. Yeah.
I was gonna say it. I was gonna say you're playing like Tiger Woods. That's what you said, right?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, before or after the crash.
No.
I couldn't help it. I'm so glad Tiger's on the mix.
The Tiger of old. All right. Let's just say that the Tiger of old. When he was actually just winning all the tournaments, where everybody was like, man, Tiger crazy. That's the Tiger I'm talking about, where he can actually play. No, but I'm gonna tell you right now, Tiger Woods at his worst day is gonna be 10 times better than me.
Wait, duh.
I'm Tiger Woods. I'm serious. Any pro golfer, they're going to be 10 times better than me on their worst day, man. So I just love the game, man. I just love being able to go out and hit a good shot, kick the round off with a par or birdie or something like that. Always, get you going. You get a little straightener before you get started. That's vodka and cranberry. You get a little something to get you right. But I tell you, man, I had a great time. Beautiful weather here in the city today. 74, maybe 75.
Oh, at the most.
Beautiful weather here in the city.
High 60s. Yeah, the thing about that's what makes me laugh is when people say, "Oh, if such and such was older, I bet you I could beat him." Right? I could beat an 80-year-old Tiger Woods. I could beat a 60-year-old Mike Tyson. No, you couldn't. Like you saw that video of Mike. He was like at a bar or something, and he was just showing people his right hook or something like that. Have you ever seen that video? It was on like the internet.
No.
He still hits so incredibly hard.
Come on, man.
You're not living through that.
Let me tell you something, man. I remember we were at doing the Fox show at one point, and they brought the that bag, that computerized bag in where you hit it and the number go up to see how hard you can hit it. And they was like, "Go ahead, Book, try it out." And I swear, man, I wanted to hit that thing as hard as I possibly could, but I was scared I was going to throw my shoulder out on national TV.
You don't want that to happen. That's a meme for life.
Man, I hit that thing so soft, it went to about 300. Those guys hit it at 820, 900. I barely touched that thing, man. I was scared something going to pop,
Francis Ngannou, the heavyweight champion of the world in the UFC, has like the hardest recorded punch ever or something like that, like 1,200 pounds per square inch, something ridiculous, right? And in the Jackass movie, I told you I went and saw, they do a bit called the cup test, right? Where they have one of the guys put on a cup and they
Yeah,
try, different things to see
yeah.
how well it holds up. So this girl pitches a softball at it, a guy hits a hockey puck at it, and then they tell him, "Hey, we got a lightweight coming in from the UFC who's gonna give you a cup test." He's like, "Okay, I'll do a lightweight, like as long as it's a lightweight, like not a heavyweight or anything." So he's standing there at a jock strap, getting ready to get hit, and then Francis Ngannou walks around the corner. He goes, "That's not a lightweight." and they show this thing. It says like getting punched by Francis Ngannou is like getting hit by a Ford Focus at top speed. This man looked like he was in so much pain.
Wait a minute. He hit him.
Yo, yeah, he gave him a uppercut to the groin.
Wow.
He looked like he was in so much pain. I can't even imagine doing that. There's no amount of money on the planet that would let me.
I mean, did I hear Steve-O had COVID? Couldn't make the premiere or something like that.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe so.
I was reading that Steve-O came down with COVID and couldn't make the premiere. Yeah, so man, this thing is still crazy running around out there, setting things back. So hey, man, I'm vaxxed.
Vax it up, baby. Let me ask you this: have you been watching the Olympics?
I've just been listening to what's been going on, especially with the Russian being having another scandal as far as doping goes, whatnot. This time it's with a 16-year-old Russian gymnast, and that right there is disturbing in itself because she's only 16. And I tell you, I don't know if you've seen this girl, man, but her quads are so damn big. It ain't funny, man. I'm telling you, I've not seen quads like this ever in my life, like this on a 16-year-old. I mean, that wasn't overweight or anything like that. I mean, she's got so much freaking muscle on her legs. It's not even funny, man. And that right there, I don't know if that's a telltale sign as far as whether she's doing something or not. But 16-year-olds just do not develop that way. Then again, gymnasts are different because they are, work from a power perspective all the time, especially gymnasts, because they got to jump. They got to have power to jump. So they're always working on that part of their body. But I just do not see a 16-year-old's body maturing to that point so quickly. I just don't. So that's the only thing I've been pretty much watching. Winter Olympics is just not my thing.
Yeah, the Winter Olympics are interesting because, I watched the curling.
You love that, don't you?
No, I didn't. I watched a whole hour of the U.S. playing Switzerland, and I have no idea how the game's played, but it made me realize something.
That you don't like curling.
Not only do I not like curling, I think the whole Winter Olympics is a farce. I think it's all a joke. Yeah. You know what I mean? I think, and I'm not disrespecting the athletes out there at all. I don't know if the Olympic Committee, I don't know who came up with the idea for the Winter Olympics, but other than skiing, right, which takes a lot of skill.
What about snowboarding? You like that in the Olympics?
I mean, no, I don't. They just had skateboarding in the summer games, so I guess it makes sense in the winter games. I'm just not really here for it. And I don't know if I don't know if white people were like, "Hey, we need some sports we're good at. What if we slide some rocks across ice?"
See, I wasn't going to say that. I'm glad you said it.
I got an idea. Let's jump on a sled and go down a hill.
Trust me, that's what it is. That's exactly what it is.
Because we got no shot in track and field. You know what I mean? We got no shot in any of the summer games. You know what I mean?
Basketball,
hell no. Get out of here. The only good white basketball players play for other countries. You know what I mean? No one here. You know what I mean?
Oh man, yeah.
They're not asking Sean Bradley to come start for the U.S. team.
I get it, man. I get it because
back in the Dream Team, the only good white player they could get was in college.
The thing is, what can a black person train for curling? I mean, come on, at the crap tables,
bro. It's insane. It's insane.
It is right there. 7-Eleven. Hey man,
I'm like, come on, man. You're sliding rocks across ice and brushing the ice as it happens.
Hey man, it's like
Sure,
marbles.
these are my people. This is the
I
best
thought
thing that we can come up with.
I thought it was like playing marbles, kind of, from a long distance. That's what it seems like. We got to take a break, man. Stick around. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute.
Being accompanied to the ring by Booker T from Houston, Texas, Gaspar Hernandez.
It is Gaspar Hernandez versus Diego de la Cruz.
If Diego's smart, and remember, guys, this is a former tag team champion, okay? Diego is a great competitor. He should have a...
Oh, my goodness!
Well, I spoke too soon.
Oh, my goodness. And you see Booker T giving instructions, almost coaching Gaspar Hernandez.
That's unreal. Diego, once again, a tag team specialist, man, but right out the gate, Gaspar just took him right off his feet.
I mean, what a vicious clothesline. Oh, my goodness.
Oh my God, no.
Oh, my.
I think I can speak for everyone here, especially with the experience. That hurts.
Booker T just signaling to wrap this up, Kirby.
Absolutely. He's just directing traffic out there. It's now Gaspar. Oh, no. Here he goes. Go for a run.
Oh, my gosh.
That's it. Oh, my God. Wow. Wow, gentlemen. That's all I have to say is wow.
Oh, my goodness. Or actually, to put it in terms that everybody might understand.
Can you dig it, sucker? Shoop! Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, guys. Yeah, man. Hey, man. What, man? What?
I just already know we're gonna get like tweets on Twitter. People will be like, "Do you know about Isaac Yankem? He's an Olympic legend in curling. He brought 47 gold medals to the U.S." I'm just saying, the game's over for me, guys. I'm sorry.
Hey, man. If they're not for you, what about me? Okay, tell me, what about me? You know, the part about the Winter Olympics I like more than anything. Back in the day, Wild World of Sports used to come on, and at the beginning of the show, you know, they would give you the intro video, and it was the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. And guy would be on the skis coming down, and then he would screw up and he would mess up and he would just go flying all over the place, you know. And that was the thrill of the victory and the agony of defeat, you know. And that's what I remember most about growing up as a kid, watching Wild World of Sports on Channel 13. I mean, I used to watch, you know, Muhammad Ali fight, and all the great boxers fought on Wild World of Sports, you know. So definitely that sport right there always seemed to intrigue me, because if you really wanted to know what it felt like flying, I felt like those guys come so close to actually having that feeling of actually flying, and that I would love to do, but you ain't gonna find too many brothers, you know, jumping off something like that.
Well, I will say, you know, the ski events are probably the only ones that I can get behind as far as level of difficulty. Like, it is so difficult. I actually saw a video of, I don't know what country he was coming from or what country he was skiing for, but he was coming down that mountain.
Giant slalom. Were you're going through the obstacle?
Yes. And did you see this guy? You know that they have those little divider kind of things that, you know, there's the two poles, the little flags.
Yeah.
Man, he nutted himself on one of those, and you can hear him hit it. Boom. And you hear him go, ah! And then he just rolls off and stops. It's so bad. But that one takes skill. And the thing about it is, and maybe I just don't understand, but there's one that I was watching today where they lay down on like a sled. It's not the luge. It's not bobsledding. It's like a different kind of sled where it's a single person and he lays head first. I don't know if you know which one I'm talking about, but he lays head first. The sled is only like this long or whatever, and he goes straight down the obstacle or the luge course, down the ice slide or whatever.
Yeah.
Look, there it's in the Olympics. There has to be some level of difficulty to it. I just don't understand the technique that goes into it. Right.
Well,
And maybe because I'd never done it before. Like I've played basketball, I've played baseball, I've played tennis or whatever. You understand how hard that game is to be good at. Going down a slide with a sled, I don't understand. I just don't get it.
look, I'm sure it takes some degree of difficulty, especially as far as when you're trying to pick up or generate a little bit more speed than the next person that's doing it. So I'm sure you got to know how to cut corners and whatnot. But the thing is, what made it an Olympic sport? That's where I'm coming from, because there again, I don't remember nobody over here in the United States thinking about nothing like that ever. I mean, we don't have any sports over here like that. But then again, we got to train for it to be in the Olympics to win the gold medal. So it's out there. There again, that's on you, man. That's your people. That's your people.
They are my people. It's
Okay.
just like, come on, guys. We
Like
got
I
to do
said,
better.
Ain't no brothers gonna be doing anything. You're not gonna find too many brothers doing that. Pole vaulting is another. You're not gonna find too many brothers. And you're like, why the hell I'm gonna go jump over something like that? You know, it makes no sense. With the sport pole vaulting. Who made that up?
I don't know. I don't know. Some of them, and even like
somebody
badminton.
somebody tried to escape prison. They came up with pole vaulting. How can I get over that wall?
Hey, man, this is pretty hard.
This might work.
What if I get a long stick?
Yeah,
it actually sounds like the dumbest idea in the world. What if I get a long stick and run directly at the wall and just shove it in the ground?
I mean, who came up with that? Who would be thinking of this as being something good to do as a sport? I don't know. Your people.
My people. Hey, but have you ever seen, now the one thing that the Winter Olympics did give us, have you ever seen Cool Runnings with John Candy?
The movie, yeah, I saw the movie. Yeah, it had some brothers in it too.
Well, yeah, there
was a Jamaican bobsled team, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We are the Jamaican bobsled team. Yeah.
And you know what? Even the Jamaicans even say, let's get a piece of this action. We might can do this.
And you know what? They kicked everybody's ass.
Exactly.
With no ice in the whole country to practice on.
Exactly.
They figured it out.
Hey man, that's what they call it, cool running.
Yeah. Anyway, we have a lot going on this weekend. Of course, UFC 271. We had a big AEW show last night full of many debuts, including a crazy main event, a Texas Death Match main event. We got Elimination Chamber coming up, book. There's all kinds of stuff. And again, guys, if you want to talk about anything specific, go ahead and super chat it in. We do, it looks like, have a super chat to start us off today.
Super chat.
It's from Thunderwolf. Hey, Book. Hey, Brad. What happened to Jerry Bow?
You know what, man? I was just talking about Jerry Bow earlier today, and hopefully we can get Jerry back on. You know, we haven't been, in the studio a whole lot, and Jerry's our right-hand man as far as making the music and making all the sounds, and we definitely have been missing out on that part. So hopefully we can get the band back together better sooner than later.
Yeah, absolutely. Jerry Bow is one of the best. Hopefully we see him this weekend. We run into Jerry at the UFC shows all the time. Jerry Bow knows. I think he's on Twitter now at Jerry Bow Sports. So go give him a follow. Where do you want to start though, Book? Do you want to start talking about actually?
No, I want to first say I want a big shout out to my girl AQA in her debut last night on AEW Dynamite. JR, definitely gave me a big shout out, as well as the wrestling school, Reality Wrestling, one of the best wrestling schools around the country, if not the best. And I can say that because I own it. But no, I appreciate that. Just for them to actually do something like that, show a lot of class, and to watch my girl AQA go out there and have such an awesome debut against Jade Cargill. Big ups to Cargill for going out there and treating my girl, right. And I tell you, man, it's like I'm like a dad when I see AQA out there, because I swear when she first started Reality of Wrestling, she was about as big as my daughter. And now she's 25 years old, and she's out there traveling the world. And now she's doing the AEW thing, man. Big ups, man. Awesome night for me.
Yeah, I love seeing. I mean, Angela is somebody. Now I feel like an old timer because I saw her whole career. I've seen it. I've seen it all from the moment she stepped in the gym to her first match to her first championship win, going over there to WWE, and now she had her debut on AEW. And here's the thing: Billy Kidman was great in his day. He was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a shooting star better than AQA. I think she does it prettier than maybe anybody ever.
You know, I saw a stat that I didn't even know about, that AQA is the only woman in the States to ever have done the 450.
The shooting star?
In the shooting star.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I did not know that.
I didn't know that either.
Wow.
It's
You know,
awesome.
that's a crazy stat. And every time I see her hit it.
I never thought about that. But when I think about it now, I don't remember any women doing that either, you know. So big ups for AQA to actually be able to go out there and pull it off, and literally to do it with the greatest of ease, flawless, man, and effortlessly. So definitely she's on the rise, man.
Yeah, and you're going in there against Jade Cargill. So the way they're building Jade, I didn't expect her to come out with a W. I just wanted her to have a good showing. And let me ask you, just from kind of like an inside perspective, I mean, as much as you can tell me, but if you bring somebody in and you're going to feed them to somebody like a Jade Cargill, who you're really building, she's a champion. Obviously, she's not going to lose the title, that quickly on TV to somebody who's never been on the television before. But if you give that other performer, you let them hit their finish in the match, like AQA was able to hit her shooting star, is that a sign of any kind of of the office or the show or the promotion saying, look, we want you to go out there and look good, hit your stuff, and have a good showing? Because normally when you bring someone in for a squash or a get over match or whatever you want to call it, or enhancement match, they don't get to have really any moves.
Yeah. Come on, man. Let's just be real about it, man. I could be real here. I mean, I called you. And I was worried. I really was. I was worried as far as the direction they were going to take with AQA first, debuting in AEW against Jade Cargill, a monster, a specimen. Yeah, I was worried. But when you see how it all played out, it just lets me know that somebody had their eyes on AQA well before she ever walked in the door for that debut, and they wanted to do something with her to perhaps put her in a position where she could succeed. And I think when she first walked out of the curtain there, you could tell the fans were wondering a little bit. They were like, okay, who is she? What is she going to do? But by the end of it, she had those people, behind her. So my thing is, it was a test for AQA that she definitely went out and passed. And she passed that test with flying colors, because it was a small little bitty things that the outsider didn't see that I saw in that match that perhaps will literally catapult her to, newer heights, perhaps right there in AEW, hopefully.
Yeah, I think that she had a great showing. Hopefully we see her more on AEW. As always, like with her and like with Draco Anthony, who was on NXT last week, it's always great to see one of the Row alumnus on TV.
Originals.
Yeah,
there you go. Row originals. Hey, guys, we got to take a break. Stick around. Back in a minute. You worth it.
Walker Texas Ranger handles the bad guys with a roundhouse kick. I'm Jim Walker, Walker Texas lawyer. I handle the insurance companies with a roundhouse kick to the wallet. If you've been injured in a car, truck, or motorcycle accident, give me a call at 713-552-1117 or visit my website at walkertexaslawyer.com. You'll be glad you did. Why would you call anyone else?
sucker. Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, guys. To keep it rolling, I see we got a super chat, huh, Bradley?
Yeah, let me get to that here right now. We do have our next one of the day, our
Super chat. Ooh.
Roland Curtis. Thoughts on Natalia's recent run? She has been jobbing to a rookie for the past several weeks, including being pinned quicker than any superstar, male or female, in WWE history. Should Natty refuse these jobs, a la Booker and Matt Morgan? Now, of course, the rookie he's referring to, and I know you have something great for that, but the rookie he's referring to is Aaliyah. Aaliyah, who's been on WWE, and she now holds
That's
the quickest.
cold, man. Come on, Roland. Come on,
That
Roland.
is cold.
Man.
That's cold-blooded,
You
actually.
gotta bring up that, man. Me and Matt Morgan. You know, I didn't refuse to do a job for Matt, but then again, yes, I did.
Well, you did, but in a different context.
Yeah, it was
right?
totally in a different context. That was I was in a position where I just knew TNA didn't know what the hell they was doing back then, and I wasn't gonna let it affect me because they didn't know what they were doing. But this situation right here with Natalia it is a total different situation. Her doing I wouldn't even call it a job. As far as being pinned quicker than anybody ever been pinned in the history of WWE. I'm sure Natalia wants Aaliyah to succeed in this business. Okay, Natalia has done everything she possibly could do in the business, but I'm sure I can 100% sure tell you that Natalia would say, I still got a little bit more work still yet to be done. And that may be to, help the next generation like Aaliyah get to that next level. That win for Aaliyah set her up to be a player for the rest of her time in WWE or in this business in general. So that's the general in Natalia going out there and putting in the work. So I would not call what Natalia is doing right now doing jobs. I really wouldn't. And I know somebody gonna say, oh man, what kind of stupid take is that? From the outside looking in, you may not understand, but there again, Natalia is the ultimate general. And sometimes generals sacrifice for their troops.
What do you think though of Aaliyah? I mean, there's somebody who they're trying to groom her.
Let me tell you something. When Aaliyah walk out the curtain, man, you say, man, I like her. It's something about, she's got an aura, she's got a glow around her. And the only thing she does is come out and stop, give you that pose, and then she comes to the ring, but she's got a certain smile about herself, but it's a certain confidence about when the bell ring at the same time. She plays the part very, very well, being the rookie that can come in and get, a win on any given night. So I love what Aaliyah is doing, but more importantly, I love what Natalia has done thus far as well.
Well, I mean, yeah, like you said, she's the longest contracted female active wrestler ever, right? And I can't remember anybody who's had a longer run than Natalia. That's now spanned over, I think 3 different decades or maybe more. You know what I mean? She came in I think the mid to late 2000s. She was there for all the 2010s. And now we're there in the 2020s. Yeah. So, I mean, 3 decades of Natalia being on television. And once you have she's won the women's title, she's won the Divas title, she's been a tag team champion, she performed at WrestleMania, she's performed overseas to thousands, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. Yeah, I mean, at some point you start looking out for the next generation coming up, right? I mean, it's just what you do.
That's just part of the game. That's the professional she is, and there again, some people from the outside looking in, I'm sure they may say she's doing jobs, and they may not like what she's doing. But Natalia's she's just playing a role. She's just doing her job, and that is there again thinking about the next generation that's coming up behind her. And that's a great thing, I think.
The Matt Morgan thing is an interesting little jab that he threw in there.
Well, what the thing is,
explain that.
Well, a lot of people, may think the thing was about Matt Morgan, but it wasn't about Matt Morgan. It was about the company doing the right thing. And I don't know. I think there again, we just talked about the word job. They wanted to job me out. to Matt Morgan. First, it
Right.
was supposed to be a match where Matt Morgan and I was supposed to work, and Kurt Angle was supposed to run out and do the distraction, and Matt Morgan was going to get a win. We was overseas and we talked about this, and then we got back in the country, and the match was getting ready to go down. They go, "Oh, we changed it, man. The match just going to go over in like 5 or 6 minutes, man. You know, we'll just do that." And I go, "Well, let me think about it." And I waited for about 5 or 10 seconds, and I said, "I thought about it. That's not happening." But I remember telling Matt Morgan, "Bro, this has nothing to do with you, man. I have nothing against you or anything like that." Matt Morgan has always been straight up with me, and we always been, relatively tight. We've never had words or anything like that. So there are no stories as far as myself and Matt Morgan.
Yeah, there's no heat there either. And
Oh,
isn't
no.
Matt Morgan, isn't he like an elected official now? Like,
He's
isn't
the
he
mayor.
doing
He's the mayor somewhere in
Yeah.
one of these towns. Yeah,
Florida or something? He's like a
definitely.
mayor or
Somewhere,
something.
somewhere in Florida. Yeah.
We do have another super chat.
Super chat.
Cali Toenail, why do you think these guys go out here seemingly like every week with tables, ladders, chairs, steps, wire, blood, and it's just a Wednesday, not a pay-per-view? He's referring to
Yeah,
AEW.
That's exactly what he's talking about, man. Hey, I totally 100% agree. And the thing is, I really think it's a place for that. Doing those type of matches, tables, ladder, chairs, blood. It's a place for it. Fans, they've always gravitated to that in professional wrestling. It's always been a part of the culture in professional wrestling. I know things changed along the way as far as the blood thing goes, but I'm sure it's something that AEW fans, it's a pretty appealing to them. Let's just say that. But I do think, just like yourself, for pay-per-view, man, that's money. That's giving me a whole lot more. It's giving me a little bit extra. On a Wednesday night, going off with, bloods and gore, it's hard for me to watch, honestly.
Yeah.
But then again, it's just not my cup of tea. It may be yours. So to each his own as far as that go. But I do think for pay-per-view, that would be much more appealing for me as a fan waiting to actually see something special. So yeah, I agree 100%. What about you, Brad?
I mean, I agree. I don't want to see it every single week. I do also understand there's a few things going on with AEW, right? We talked about it actually now on our lost episode from Monday, but we talked about the fact of AEW only runs quarterly pay-per-views. So I guess you can't expect fans to always wait 3 months at a time to get something big and exciting. You don't want to, though, do it every single week, and then the bar and expectations are raised to the nth degree for when you do a pay-per-view. Because now if you're doing that every week, when you go to do a pay-per-view, you got to do stuff like the Young Bucks cage match, where they're almost dying in the ring trying to get a rise out of the people. So you have to balance it. I do think there's a place for that, especially because WWE doesn't do it at all as far as the blood and gut stuff. So if you're going to be the alternative and you want to bring in a different audience.
I totally disagree, man. I mean, I could be wrong. Just because, I watched the match with Moxley and CM Punk versus FTR. That match, was very, very entertaining, and it was very high impact. It had a lot going on. I think a lot of that could actually fuel your show on a weekly basis if you give them enough of that, from a perspective like those type of matches without the blood and gore. I think people will still buy into that, and I do think with the pay-per-views, they could actually be much more valuable if you did save that kind of stuff for those pay-per-views. I really do.
Oh, I agree with that. I'm
sure.
not in disagreement,
But
I just think go for it.
I just think it takes away so much from what they could have in a pay-per-view, because that's when, just say for instance, this is the way I've always thought. Okay, I mean, and it's just me. You have your house show, right? Then you have your overseas tours. Those shows are pretty much shows where you're getting your craft down, working on your showmanship, working on your psychology with the fans and whatnot. And then you have your TV. All right, your TV is where you're going to go out. You're going to work, your ass off, but you're going to give them only so much. And then when you got to that pay-per-view, that's when we really had to go out and give them their money's worth. That was just my thought process, and I just don't think that. Giving it to them on television and then being able to give them that same thing on pay-per-view, I just think they're missing something. I just think they could be getting so much more. I could be wrong. That's just my,
I also think what you said there is true, but I also think it's true amongst all wrestling, right? Even WWE. There's a lot of matches that they do on Raw and SmackDown that they could save for pay-per-view, and it would feel so much more important and special other than, I don't know. Whenever I see Seth Rollins wrestle somebody, I'm just assuming that he's already wrestled them 12 times on television. Like I don't feel like it's a first time ever match. That's why Brock and Bobby felt so special. It's like, oh wow, like I've never seen these two in the ring together ever. One-on-one. So I think it's a problem all the way around. But I do agree with you. I didn't say you should do that every week, but I'm saying you can't only wait every 3 months to do something big and impactful.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I think AEW, sometimes they throw a whole lot in one basket, but maybe that's your style. I don't know. But
last night was a whole lot.
Yeah,
it was a ton.
It was a ton. Definitely, that's something that we got to talk about. That's exactly what I'm talking about as far as Jay White. You know what I mean? Come out, and then you had Keith Lee. Make his debut. AQA. Did her thing. And her and Jay Cargill not just had a match, but it was a match, commercial break, back and through. So it was a whole lot going on that show last night. Like I said, stuff getting thrown against the wall, and let's see what stick. But it definitely kept your attention. So we definitely got to talk about it. Stick around, guys. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute. You're worth it.
For 13 years, the King of Solar Screens has been an industry leader, and we proudly use 100% American-made products. Home of the $55 any size, any color solar screen.
Well, what about arches?
$55.
What about circles?
$55.
What about rectangles?
$55.
Any size, any color, installed free. The King of Solar Screens, on time, every time.
Now, can you dig that, sucker? Can you dig it, sucker? Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, guys. You're just talking a little AEW Dynamite went down last night, and it was a lot going on. There's a lot going on. What interests you most as far as the show last night?
Well, I mean, I was going to watch the show regardless because they had this big promoted debuting wrestler. Tony Khan, I think, originally said a wrestler's going to walk through the forbidden door and sign a contract with AEW on television and go out there and make his debut or whatever. So I was excited to see who it was. It turned out to be Keith Lee. So I was already going to watch the show. And that was an interesting thing to me. And also, and I could be just being a conspiracy theorist, so forgive me if I am. But did you notice Matt Hardy during Keith Lee's match? Did you notice what he did?
Not really, just walked around.
So he was walking around because one half of Private Parties out there, Isaiah Stevens. And as he can see Keith Lee is getting the upper hand on his protege, Matt just turns his back, jumps over the barricade, walks through the fans, and leaves.
I saw that.
And Tony Schiavone called it erratic behavior. Now, look, I could be looking into it too much. It's the same way Jeff left during the 6-man tag, which was described online as erratic behavior. Am I just being a conspiracy theorist, or is there something to that?
You may be, but I saw that, but I didn't put the two and two together. I really didn't.
Anybody in the chat, tell me if I'm overlooking that, because
you're
I
not-
was like,
you're
was
not
that a
overlooking
sign that Jeff's coming in?
You know what, man? It's inevitable. He's going to be coming in. I mean, as many names being dropped. And the thing is, I don't know if you remember. I said the big news is Keith Lee. All right, I said the big news is Keith. I don't know if you remember me telling you that. I didn't have any inside sources or anything like that, but I just felt like the biggest free agent out there from a size perspective, it was Keith Lee, and that was like a riddle. The biggest signing in AEW's history, something like that. So that's what I equated it to. But what do you think? What do you think the impact of Keith Lee is going to be in AEW? I mean, seriously.
I think that he is somebody you definitely can benefit from having on the roster. We saw it last night. He had a great debut, right? I mean, that's how you want someone to debut. He felt like a big deal when he walked through the entryway. And then the first thing that he does is throw Isaiah Stevens 1,000 feet in the air and across the ring.
Yeah.
And he looks like this unstoppable madman. You actually commented to me when we were talking about it, just he looked to be in better shape than he did prior. Yeah. And I think that he's going to make an impact. You need guys that you can move in and out of that main event picture, because I think that's also kind of been one of the things with AEW is you had a lot at the very beginning. You had like 4 or 5 guys, maybe 4 guys who you could see at the top. And then you had a bunch of guys who you could see opening the show and not a lot in between. I think that they've done a good job as of late of finding those guys who can work mid, upper mid, main event, and you can have kind of people to cycle through. So it doesn't just always feel like it's Jericho, Moxley, Omega, and Adam Cole. So I think that Keith Lee's going to find himself in one of those positions. Now, I would have debuted Keith Lee a little bit different.
And how would you have done that?
Do you remember when he and Adam Cole had their feud at NXT, and he ran at Adam Cole and hit him so hard it knocked him into the crowd? Right? The pound. Yeah, he pounced him. He pounced him. Yeah, like old Monty Brown.
Monty Brown. Male.
I would have loved to see that been his debut. You know what I mean? Like, not a match, just Adam Cole's talking crap, and Keith Lee comes out of nowhere and pounces him into the crowd. You know what I mean? And boom, I'm here. And then he can clean house with the rest of.
Yeah, but wasn't that match for some kind of elimination?
It's to get into a ladder match.
Yeah. So I can see Keith Lee coming in and making an impact. Going into the ladder match. That's big for him. Of course.
It's a great spot.
Yeah, definitely. And for me, like I was saying, Keith Lee coming back, short tights, no shirt. You could tell he was feeling himself just a little bit. This time off was probably a lot of, training sessions in the gym, late night, getting ready for this debut. So yeah, man, he actually was quite exceptional as far as conditioning, coming back after this long of a layoff, especially with the big moves over the top, whatnot. So, hey, man, Keith Lee could be that player, and immediately he goes to the top of the food chain as being one of those guys that, like you say, could be a player from a AEW world title perspective. Put him right in the mix with anybody, and I think you got something there, as well as Keith Lee winning the AEW championship, the first time. Can you imagine how big that would be? So definitely he's a big catch.
Now get this too.
No pun.
No pun. Well, it's great to see him. And there's 2 things I guess I want to say about it. First off, he's now the 5th former NXT champion to sign with AEW. And I think the 3rd in the last, or the 4th in the last year, something like that. But it's Pac, who was Adrian Neville, of course.
Yeah.
Then you had Adam Cole, Andrade, Malachi, and now Keith Lee makes the 5th NXT champion to jump ship in the last year or something like a year or some change. The other thing that stuck out to me is I will say AEW does. I know it's nuts.
No. I was just thinking about that. But then you got, Christian, then you got Jericho, you got Mark Henry, you got Big Show. I'm just thinking about the WWE roster that's over there right now. It's crazy. I just, when you said those names, which were all NXT names, and then I'm like, wait a minute, you didn't even say anybody on the main roster, so wow, man. That's
Moxley too.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts.
Matt Hardy, soon to be Jeff.
It's crazy.
It is funny that they kind of at first build AEW as like, anti WWE in a lot of ways, right? And then now I think I saw a tweet that's like they've got so many WWE roster guys, now established WWE stars, but it's fine. You get talent where you can get it. I'm not hating on it for it. But what I was going to say is about Keith Lee is it's interesting to see how different one can work in WWE versus AEW, especially as a big guy. When Keith Lee was doing his Bearcat run on Raw, he was working like a 340 pounder, right? Like how a 340 pounder has always worked forever. In AEW, it seems that they let him be a little bit more the style. Remember when he came down to reality wrestling? He wanted to fly around a little bit, be a little bit lighter on his feet, more athletic than just big and strong. It's just interesting to see how it juxtaposed the same guy in two different companies, how the styles are different.
Well, I just think the production is different more than anything. I just think the production, the producing of the matches, have guys having a lot more liberty to go out there and do their own thing. I'm sure those two pretty much came up with the majority of that match without somebody over their shoulder saying, hey, let's do it this way, or hey, let's do it that way. You could tell Keith Lee was definitely in his element to where it looked like he was comfortable being back in that setting. So yeah, man, it was a great debut for him coming back, and for him to actually be back inside of the square circle, man. I'm sure he's almost a place where you feel like it's at home. Seriously.
If I can, though, add one criticism to the AEW show last night. There was like 3 matches.
Don't do it.
I know the internet. But there were like 3 matches on there that if I were booking the show, I would have had them be the main event 3 weeks consecutive, not all in the same show. Okay, what I say that for is Keith Lee, just the announcement of a big Forbidden Door signing, right? I'm putting that at the end of the show. I'm putting it at the end of the show. So I have the viewer hooked the entire time, and the whole show is built around who is this guy walking through the Forbidden Door, right? Who's it going to be? Who is going to be this big signing? And that's going to keep me as a viewer watching the entire time. And it makes Keith Lee feel that much bigger, right? The other thing is you set up this thing with Punk, and FTR needs to find a tag partner. I could write a whole show based around that as the main event. CM Punk, who's he going to find for the tag partner? And then when it looks like it's just going to be Punk versus FTR in a handicap, Moxley comes through the crowd. That's your main event. And they put on a main event style match, right?
Yeah.
And then the main event of the show is actually like the least talked about thing from the show last night, and that was your world title match in a Texas death match. That's another main event that I build around the whole night too. You know what I mean? That's my only criticism. That's my only criticism last night.
Hey, man, I'm going to let you book the show, bro. I ain't going to get off in the booking. I'm serious. I'm not even trying to get off in the book of the show because I saw a lot of things that perhaps I would have done differently, but I'm not going to sit here and play, quarterback, backseat driver or anything to what those guys are doing right now. I'm going to, let them make their mistakes. Hopefully they'll, learn from them. Hopefully they'll fix them. And move forward from there. But all in all,
fire show overall.
All in all, I was just happy more than anything. I was overjoyed. I was ecstatic to watch AQA, that little girl who walked into one of my fantasy camps a few years back, 4 years back, and I was like, what is this little girl doing here? And then she impressed me to the point to where she rose in reality of wrestling so quickly, and then to make it to WWE, boom, so quickly, and then that didn't work out for her, but it didn't ruin her dream or anything like that. It was an awesome experience, but let's get back to the drawing board and let's keep this thing rolling, and boom, get another shot like this. That right there is totally uncommon for someone so young to the business. So there again, man, I just must say I'm proud of AQA, and I'm happy that AEW gave her a chance. Hey guys, stick around. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute. About yourself, as far as that grind, how much do you actually embrace it? How much do you actually feel like that is a part of this journey?
Oh man, well, thankfully now the scene in where I'm from, I'm living in Oklahoma right now, and I wrestle in Texas. But thankfully now the scene is kind of growing with the streaming platforms, with places like Reality of Wrestling down there in Texas. You get a bigger buzz here, but for years it was hard. And so you had to get out there and travel. So there'd be many a nights where I was on the road by myself, 7, 8, 9, 10-hour drives there and back, sacrificing time with my family, sacrificing time at my real job, trying to just make ends meet. But when you really love this, and I tell people this all the time, some people just love coming through the curtain. You can't just love coming through the curtain.
Yeah.
When you really love this, you fall in love with the ground. Fuego del Sol hates squats, man. I hate deadlifts. But if you really love this, you got to learn to love all of it. Every facet of it, every bit of sacrifice, every bit of time that you're losing with birthdays, loved ones, all of that.
Yeah.
When you really want it, when you really sacrifice, and when you start to see it pay off, you realize all of that is worth it and then some for this.
Can you dig it, sucker? Shoop. Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, bro. I see we got Super Chat.
Oh, we do. We have a couple. We'll start with Roland Curtis here.
Super Chat.
Are you guys sure Keith Lee was in better shape? Dave Meltzer said that he needs to lose weight. Meltzer said his weight is now greater than his NXT and Indie days. He said Lee's leapfrog was low and his speed was lacking. My question for Dave Meltzer, did you happen to have a scale that Keith Lee stepped on? How do you know what his weight is? How were you timing his 40-yard dash? Here's my thing about Meltzer, but I'll let you answer, Book. Obviously, the question is directed towards you, but a couple weeks ago, he said 100% the main event of WrestleMania is not going to be Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey. They are not doing that, right? That was all over Twitter. It's not going to be the match. 24 hours later, same guy says they're going with Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair for the main event of WrestleMania. That's what they're going to do. That's going to be the match. This is the guy that y'all put stock in his opinions. And here's my other thing. Just because you've been doing it for a long time doesn't mean you're good at it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? People defer to him like he's God.
I don't know why he would throw shade on Keith Lee. That's my question. Yeah. That's my question, first and foremost. Out of all the people that have come into AEW, has had nothing but praise for him, no matter what they have done. But Keith Lee, he's lost a step and he's overweight. That's what he has to say about Keith Lee. It just goes to show you what kind of person that guy is. I'm not going to even mention his name.
Yeah, let's not.
But I must say this. I know Keith Lee. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty close to. I know he went through a bout with COVID. All right.
Yeah.
And I know that slowed him down a little bit. I know when I went through COVID, I lost 10 pounds in a week. Okay. I know that. I do know this as a performer. When you look at yourself in the mirror and you not feeling yourself, you're going to cover it up. I'm serious. You're going to go, okay, let me wear some long tights or something this week. There's no way Keith Lee weight was up and he's got short tights on out flexing his chest. It's just not going to happen. It may have looked that way to him on television, but I think Keith Lee, I don't think he was any let's just say this, better or worse shape than Keith Lee has ever been. Keith Lee has never been a bodybuilder, and Keith Lee has never made his money on what he looked like from a physical perspective. He looked like a big guy, okay? He goes out and work like a small guy, but as well as a big guy. So I don't know. Keith Lee did, I think, everything that I expected for him to do in a debut. And that wasn't a whole lot at all, okay? Because he didn't have to. But did he look good? Yeah, but that's the type of person Meltzer is. To throw shade on Keith Lee, the question should be, why Keith Lee?
Yeah,
that should be the question.
I pick up what you're putting down.
I'm serious. That should be the question more than anything.
Well, he's got an interesting. Never mind. You mean screw that guy. Anyway, we have another one.
Super chat.
Cali Toenail. We know what Brock wants. Brock gets, I said on the Hall of Fame last year that they were going to unify the belts title for title at WrestleMania. So what's the purpose of trying to sell us on Goldberg as if he has a chance? Well, brother, they need a match to do in Saudi Arabia. That's why you do the match. And here's the thing. Goldberg won the world title last time he was in Saudi. It can happen again, right?
Yeah. There again, man, I'm not finna try to book the show and try to wonder why Goldberg is back and why are they doing this and they should be. I mean, man, I've been watching there again, the Iron Fist and Daredevil. And I can only imagine what they would look like if I watched them from the last episode back. I'm serious. Think about that for 1 second. If I wouldn't watch the last episode and start watching them in reverse to get to that's what we're doing here.
Yeah.
I'm serious. I mean, am I right here or what?
100%. 100%.
So when I see stuff like that, man, it just makes me go, wow, man. Just try to sit back and enjoy the ride. And if it's not a ride that you like, jump off of it. That's the only thing I can say when it comes to, those kind of comments. That's the only thing I can really say because there again, I had a quote and the quote was, Rocky Balboa, and Apollo Creed said, man, it's too bad. We got to get old Stallion. And the Stallion said, we just got to keep punching, Apollo. We just got to keep punching. So for me, this thing is a cycle. It goes around. And for me, I love it. No one's talking about anything other than why is Goldberg back opposed to, man, let's see what he got left. Let's, hopefully he does well. And we'll move on to the next. That's the way I see it.
Look, I'll be completely honest. Every time they bring Goldberg back, I'm in on it. And I don't know if that's because it's the nostalgia of the era that I grew up on, right? And I just get excited to see guys from that time period. But I always want the match to be special. I always want it to be memorable. I was super psyched for Goldberg and Undertaker, right? Like I was like, man, this is I've never seen this match before. This is gonna be awesome. It didn't go as planned. Things happen, but I wanted it to be great. And anybody who's hating on Goldberg just for him coming back, like, I don't like that. Now, does Goldberg have to be in the world title picture every time he comes back? No, he doesn't have to be. But guess what? Goldberg doesn't write the show. He answers the phone and says yes. Right? Hey, Bill, you want to come pick up this check and wrestle the top guy in the company for the world title? Oh, gee, let me think about it for a second.
I mean,
we got to lay off Goldberg like he's writing the show, like he's lobbying.
I
like
swear,
they used to say Hogan did in the back.
I feel the same way.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I will say this: I'm a little worried. About the Elimination Chamber. I'm a little worried.
Why is that?
I know you don't like to book the show. I know you don't. But I'm just thinking in my head, Brock is in the chamber for the title, right? With Bobby.
All right.
Brock just lost to Bobby on pay-per-view, by pinning him, right?
Yeah.
what are the chances that going into the main event of WrestleMania for Brock, he's going to lose on pay-per-view twice in a row to the same guy, right?
Yeah.
Who's not the guy he's wrestling at WrestleMania. So I'm just a little concerned as a fan of Bobby Lashley. This might be a short run for Bobby. Unless something screwy happens, because there's 6 or 7 guys, or there's 6 guys in the chamber, right?
Yeah.
So things can happen. But I don't know. I think it's at least possible or probable that Bobby doesn't walk out the world champion. I think Goldberg, I think Brock is the most likely because they're talking about title for title on TV. And I don't even think Bobby's the second most likely to win the match.
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, man. I'm gonna tell you right now, man. I got an inside source. Okay.
Uh-oh.
I'm like that guy now. Okay.
That guy. Yeah.
I got an inside source that they're building Bobby Lashley to be something special over these next 2 to 3 years, man. I would not sleep on Bobby Lashley and what he is going to be doing here in the future in WWE. So Brock Lesnar, I'm taking nothing away from Brock. I'm not taking anything away from your thoughts, your strategy of how this thing might play out because of what may become down the line. I'm not questioning that, but I am saying that I do know Bobby Lashley is being set up to do big things. You could just look at what's going on and what's happening around Bobby right now, and you can see a huge difference in just the aura of Bobby Lashley right now.
Well, yes, you can see a change in him as far as his presentation on television.
Everything.
Bobby is doing the best work of his life, and I think that he could be set up to be I don't want to say the heir apparent to Brock, but Brock, how much longer does he have, right? Like, you're going to need that guy who can continue on, and could Bobby be that guy? I think Bobby is that guy, right? If you want someone to fulfill that role, I hope Bobby Lashley gets a fat contract to wrestle 12 matches a year. Like, that's my hope for Bobby, right? That's what I want to have happen for him.
Yeah.
But I'm just thinking, where are you going? Are you gonna do title for title at WrestleMania? And if you are, then why would you take the title off of him?
Look, man.
I don't know. I'm just trying to figure it out.
I'm not going to take myself there yet. All right. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to take myself there yet. Because if I do that, I take myself all the way out of the game as far as what's going to happen in the chamber. I'm already thinking about there again, the finish, and I'm thinking my way backwards. So I don't want to get ahead of myself on this deal right now. I'm going to enjoy the chamber, and I'm going to hope that Bobby Lashley walks in and walks out by hook or by crook, by any means necessary, with that title. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not like you. All right, I'm not like you, one of these guys that want to know the finish before the finish.
I don't want to know the finish. I just can't turn it off. I can't turn it off. I'm always thinking, what are they doing here? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where are we going? What would I do?
Yeah. That's the problem.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's the problem. You know what I mean? You need to stop thinking about that because until you get yours, man, you never know what's going to happen, man, especially with that company. So just sit back, relax, watch it, and wait and anticipate as to what's going to happen. We'll see.
That's facts. We'll see. Elimination Chamber's around the corner. But Book, I know we got to take a break, but I cannot wait to ask you about what's going on in basketball. I know we got to talk about it a little bit. So.
Just a little. Stick around, guys. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute.
My name is Nathan Wasser, and I'm from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I came down here to Reality of Wrestling to improve my training and get myself more experience learning from the absolute best. It's intense. It's hard. You got to leave your ego at the door and come in with an open mind. The way they do stuff here is the next level. But if you do that, you'll end up bettering yourself in the end, and you'll improve, and you'll be able to work anywhere.
Nathan, he's an unbelievably awesome student. I'll tell you why, right? For a few reasons. Number one, The man packed up all the way from the Great White North to move down here to the U.S. to train because he wanted to learn from one of the best. But what's even more impressive, on top of the fact that he takes care of his body, he works hard, is the fact that he was trained by a very reputable trainer and yet still comes down here humble, hungry, ready to work and ready to learn, and not coming in here acting like he knows everything or that he's too rigid in his ways.
Booker's knowledge will help you get to whatever goals you want to do if you want to be a big star in this industry. My end goal is to be in WWE. Coming down here to Reality of Wrestling, I feel is the best opportunity for me to get there. So I'm going to do whatever it takes. I can promise you, when you come to Reality of Wrestling, it will change your life. You will not regret it.
Can you dig it, sucker? Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, guys. I know Brad got something he wants to talk about. It's something we've talked about many, many times here inside the Hall of Fame. Formerly heated conversations back in the day. This been going long time as far as this conversation goes. So what do you want to talk about, Brad? What is it?
Okay. Today was the trade deadline in the NBA.
Yeah.
Okay. This is like one of my favorite days because you just never know what's going to happen. The teams who are championship hopefuls typically like to make a couple of changes just to shore up their spot going into the playoffs after the All-Star break. And there was rumblings yesterday that the Beard, number 13, one of the great scorers in the game's history, was not loving his situation in Brooklyn. Now, if you recall, last year or last season, the 2020-2021 season, James Harden said, "Look, I'm out of Houston. All right,
I'm out.
I'm going to strip clubs with a little baby. I'm showing up. I'm gonna be fat,
Overweight, Ed Abbott style. I mean, my brother was way overweight.
fat, like not even chunky. Brother
Still hitting threes though.
Fat, but he was even like, "Look, guys, I'm giving up on this team." He goes out there and he scores 6 points in a game or whatever, just to show the Rockets, I don't want to be here anymore, right? So Raphael Stone, the GM, says, "Okay, you know what? Where do you want to go? I want to go to Brooklyn. I want to be with my old teammate KD. Kyrie's tearing it up." And guess what? When they made the trade, he was the favorite. They were the favorite.
Man, money.
They were the favorite to go out there.
Money.
Big three.
Yeah,
you know? I mean, the three most elite scorers at their position in the game today, sans Steph Curry, right? So we had big expectations, but then Kyrie goes down with the injury. Harden goes out with the injury in the playoffs, right? They lose to the Bucks. But guess what? We have another season to build around them. This season comes around. Kyrie has his issue with the vaccine. Can't even play in New York. He just started playing again on road games only recently, right? KD can't keep himself out of the IR list, right? He's always got like a little something popping or locking. He's not
skinny ass. His damn ankles and knees so damn skinny, man. It ain't funny. Something's gonna break every time he try to run down the court. Trust me.
Skinny like a broomstick. And so James was kind of carrying the load for the team, but he wasn't the same James Harden. And then they went to go play Sacramento. And I actually watched that game. And I said something was weird. It looked like James Harden completely gave up on the team, right? Scored 9 points, I think, something like that. It looked like he gave up. And then we heard rumblings that he was like, "I'm done in Brooklyn. I want out. I want to go be a Philadelphia 76er." And so Daryl Morey, his old running mate, makes it happen. Today they make the trade. James Harden's officially a 76er. Ben Simmons, who's been sitting on the sidelines, got fined $28 million this year because he didn't want to go back and play for Philly. Now gets traded to Brooklyn.
Yeah.
What do you think, Book? What do you think? What do
Hey,
you think about
man,
Harden?
come on, man. I've been saying it for a long time, as far as James Harden when he first came to Houston. This guy has always been labeled a superstar. He's always been labeled one of the best players in the league. I think it's undeniable what James Harden is capable of doing, on the court. I'm serious. He's one of the best players, one of the most, dynamic players, I've ever seen play the game. That step back three is like deadly when his mind is in the game, when he's focused, and more importantly, when they're winning. That's when James Harden is at his best. When the team is winning, James Harden, man, he is literally one of the best players you're ever going to see. But when it's some adversity comes along, that's when James Harden normally has a whole lot of problems. And I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, James Harden has never been the guy to step up to be the leader on the team. Even though he was, placed in the position to be, the team captain, he's never really been a leader. Nowhere he's ever been. I could be wrong. And I think, James Harden choosing to, there again, take his ball and run from this situation to Philly, it just goes to show you what kind of person James Harden is. Because I say this, when you got a guy like James Harden who came from Charlotte, to Houston,
Oklahoma City.
I mean, yeah, Oklahoma City, to Houston now, here, and then going here now. I think it goes to show. I think it's a saying, if this guy's doing all of this, jumping around from one place to place to place, you got to think that it can't be just a team. It got to be him.
I know. I don't disagree.
I could be wrong, but for James Harden to, be as great of a player as he is and can't seem to find a stable home as great as he is and win a championship, it can't be the teams. It's got to be James Harden. I could be wrong.
Well, here's the thing with James is, you know me, going way back to even when this show first started, is I've always been Team Harden, right? I've always had his back. Now, I didn't love how he exited the Rockets. And the reason I didn't like it was because it was selfish from this aspect. He asked the team to leverage their entire future on trading away CP3 and signing and getting Russell Westbrook, right? Let's trade away CP3. Let's get Russ. Russ is my boy. We grew up together in LA. We played on OKC together. It's going to happen. We're going to do it this year. And then that doesn't work out. And a year later, Russ is gone. Mike D'Antoni's gone. Daryl Morey is gone. So James Harden shows up fat and says, I want out of here too. So what does he do? He goes to Brooklyn, where they leverage their draft future for him and a lot of pieces so that they can have him. And now if I'm the Brooklyn Nets, I'm sorry, the Brooklyn Nets look like one of the dumbest organizations in history as of the last 3 years. They signed Kevin Durant to a maximum contract when he has an ACL injury, right? He misses the first entire season, but they have him and Kyrie.
Yeah.
Then Kyrie, and James can't get it done. They're all injured at different times. And now James is out. Kyrie's a part-time player, and Kevin Durant's injured again, and they've lost 9 straight. This is not a championship team. But James Harden selfishly says, look, I see the writing on the wall with this team. It's not going to work out. I want you to, again, leverage your future with picks and all kinds of stuff to send me out of here. Right?
Yeah.
And now he's asking the 76ers to do the same for him. We're going to give you picks. We're going to give you players. We're going to give you everything you want. And here's the other thing, Book, is if James signs his max contract in the summer as a free agent, he will have one of the biggest contracts in NBA history, but he'll also have the worst contract for a team ever, because James Harden can be 39 years of age and making $60 million plus a year.
Hey, bro, like I say, you can't deny James Harden talent, and you can't blame a team for wanting James Harden to be on the squad. But I think this I think this says a whole lot about these super teams more than anything, as far as guys thinking that they can play together just because they're all great players. You know what I mean? They think they can win a championship because they're all super talented individuals. But sometimes it just don't gel. And James Harden, more than anybody, has proved that because this guy's been on some great teams. He's had some great teammates, and it's all it seems to boils down to. There again, not being able to get along, somebody not liking each other. It seems pretty petty from the outside looking in because it seemed like the most important thing would be, man, I got to win a championship, and I know I can't do it by myself. I'm going to need these guys to help me get it done. And it doesn't seem like James Harden is a team player in that aspect at all. I could be wrong, but all of this jumping around says a whole lot to me.
Think about the people he's played with in his career, just in the last 5 years, 6 years. I mean, Dwight Howard, Carmelo Anthony, Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, right? He's played with all these great, phenomenal, sensational players.
Yeah.
And for some reason or another, they never all work out. The best chance they had. Now, I also say he's one of the most unlucky superstars in history. Right, just because.
How's that?
I mean, you're up 3-1 on Golden State, and then your best player, second best player or best player, however you want to look at it, Chris Paul goes down, right, with the hamstring, and we can't get the job done without him.
Wait
right?
a minute. For a second though. If Chris Paul wouldn't have went down, you think we still would have won?
We would have absolutely won. There's no doubt in my mind.
You think
All we had to
so?
do was win one game. It took Chris Paul's hamstring going down in the worst shooting stretch in the history of the playoffs. 0 for 27 from 3.
All right.
And we still only lost by single digits.
You see Chris Paul last year? What happened?
Baller.
Into
the finals.
Into the finals. And then what happened?
The other team was better.
No,
That's
choke.
what happened.
That's what he
He
did.
did not
Choke.
Don't give me that.
He choked.
Don't give me that.
It's exactly what
He's coming
happened.
off an injury.
Come on, man. I'm not sitting here saying anything that's not true. He choked. And that's what
not
happened.
true.
I mean, he went stone, solid, cold, and he couldn't do that. He couldn't hit the side of a mountain if he tried. I'm serious. So my thing is this. Let's not bank that championship away if Chris Paul wouldn't have won. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying anything other than that. Let's just not bank on it, okay?
We would have won the title. I have no doubt in my mind that we would have won the title.
Okay,
but at the end of the day, James Harden has always flourished the most when he's had Daryl Morey making the moves for him from a player personnel standpoint. We will see what happens. I think it's a great move for Daryl Morey. He gets his superstar back, and he gets Ben Simmons out of their locker room. That's a good move for him.
Yeah, Ben Simmons, man, he's another one. Just choker. Another choker. And another one that just literally just want to escape and get out of town and then want nobody to see him. Those kind of players, man, they I have to question them.
Here's the other thing, too. They're also both members of the Kardashian curse.
There it is.
They both dated a Kardashian. I'm just saying.
That's all it takes, man. I'm going to tell you right now, you don't want to get behind that. Hey, guys, stick around. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute. Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, guys. It's our last segment here, man. This thing's moving pretty quick. Today, UFC 271 going down this weekend, guys, here in the H town. And I cannot wait. Robert Whitaker is going to be going against Israel Adesanya, second time around. Man. The second time around. I don't know if you ever heard that song before, right there. Shalimar was bad, man, bad. Them boys were, but I tell you, I'm wondering how this fight is going to go a second time around here in Houston, as well as Derek Lewis, Tai Tuivasa, heavyweights going down as well. Cannot wait for that as well. So I don't know, man. Should we talk a little UFC? We got any super chats or what?
Let me check for the super chats, but we definitely need it. I think we are. I think we are. Let's talk about that main event. How do you see it playing out?
Man, after coming off of the Keith Thurman Mario Barrios fight, like I said, I didn't pick that one. I got it wrong, man. I got it wrong big time. We got to talk about that too. But this fight, man, Israel Adesanya, like I say, for me to actually see Israel in person, live in living color, this is almost like, you hear, one of the guys back in the day, it's going to be a spectacle. It's like, for today's standard, going to see Muhammad Ali or something like that, just because he is so dynamic. And Robert Whitaker, he's no slouch either, man. He's a guy that's, he's a fighter, man. That damn Australian man will, he will fight to the end, is what I realized about Whitaker. And there again, if he catch you in the right place at the right time, he definitely can win this fight. But if I was a betting man, I would go with Israel Adesanya just because, he's the champ. And it's hard to actually bet against the champ, especially one the likes of Israel Adesanya. There again, just exceptional, in so many different ways.
I know. I mean, it's going to be electric in that building. I remember we were there February of 2020, right? When John Jones last fought. And we didn't have, I would say this, UFC, y'all really come around for us recently because we didn't have the greatest of seats that night.
Yeah, right.
We're up a little high.
Yeah, knees were hurting a little bit.
Knees are hurting just a tad. Actually, I remember that day. That was the day where we went to the XFL kickoff.
Yeah.
Then we went to we went to Reality Wrestling and you wrestled that 10-man tag. And then we went to the UFC show.
I was so tired that my knees were hurting so bad.
We were stupid. I don't know what we were thinking about.
Oh God, man, I was hurting so bad. I remember I had that nice blue suit on, and my knees was cricking, man. I'm serious. But we did it. We got it done. Yeah, but hopefully we'll have better.
But I think we're gonna have the same aura when we see Israel because he's definitely a different cat. He's kind of one part John Jones. He's one part oh my gosh, Anderson Silva, and he's also his own flavor. So I expect him to go out there and win, especially because this is his home division. He's not trying to go up in weight again. He's fighting at the middleweight. This is where he's always been the most dominant. I don't see anybody else right now at that 185 who can really rock with him there. Now, Whitaker, in their first encounter, was an interesting matchup for him. Styles do make fights.
Definitely.
But I don't see that extra gear from Whitaker that he needs. I think Whitaker got it in fifth gear last time, but there's just that little extra. He needs to hit the turbo, hit the NOS if he wants to go out there and finish the job because Izzy's special.
He's another level as far as fighters go. But there again, I'm not going to count Robert Whitaker out because he's a damn good fighter. He's technically sound in every department. He's not a guy that's going to be looking to fight on the ground or anything like that, but he's very capable if the fight actually happened to go there. And if I think if it actually happened to go there, he's going to be the one that initiates something like that. But I think from a stand-up perspective, it's going to be a great fight. It's going to be a stand-up war, and the best man is going to win. That Israel Adesanya, as far as having weapons, having tools, he can go very, very deep in his tool bag. So many different tools he can actually use in a fight. And I'm just, like I say, excited to actually see it live, up close, and in person. Now, if I had to bet, there again, Israel Adesanya by knockout, because I think it's going to be a spectacular night here in Houston. Derek Lewis, Taito Ivasa, who you got in that fight?
I'm gonna go Derek. I think Derek needs this win more than anything, especially coming off his last performance in Houston. So I got my money on the Black Beast.
Hey man, Tuivasa's coming off 4 in a row. Some names on that list as well. He's a guy who's literally developing right before our eyes in the UFC. And I'm not going to sleep on Taito Ivasa to actually go out and upset the Black Beast.
Oh wow, betting against H-Town here.
Hey man, I don't want to bet against H-Town, but last time I bet it with my heart, it didn't work out too good for me.
It didn't. It didn't. Poor Derek.
I'm thinking about there again. Tuivasa is he's a work in progress. He's a guy that's definitely learning as he goes, but he's a big guy and he's tough. He's tough as nails, and I think he's definitely capable of winning this fight. And I'm not really betting against Derek Lewis or anything like that from a personal perspective or anything like that. I just feel like I don't know why, intuition, gut, whatever it is, I just feel like Ty is going to walk out with his hand raised.
We'll see. We'll see what happens in that main event. We did have a super chat come in that I want to make sure that we get to here, Book.
Super chat.
Roland Curtis, my bad, fellas, about bringing up Meltzer. I didn't know about the Stevie Ray issue. But on a related topic, what do you think about? What do you think about Jeff Hardy rejecting his Hall of Fame offer because his brother Matt Hardy wasn't offered the same? Yeah, we did hear about this. The reason Jeff Hardy said no to the Hall of Fame was he said, I want to go in with my brother.
You know what? I get it. I totally understand. Those guys worked in that company together for years, and they started there together. They're originals as far as WWF goes, WWE, however you want to slice it. Those guys are originals, and I think the Hardys, I really think they want to, finish it the way they started it together. And it's nothing wrong with that. I give them, all the props in the world for, wanting to do it like that. I wish, my brother and I could have finished it like that, honestly. The way I started it, man, I wanted to finish it the way I started it. And that was with my brother. That didn't get a chance to, come to fruition. But these guys still have time to actually be able to make something like that happen, as well as it's more than enough time for WWE to come around and say, man, we need both of these guys in the Hall of Fame at the same time because they are, our original Hardy Boys tag team that has done so much for this company. So, yeah, man, I see that.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with Jeff doing that. I understood it. You know what I mean? You got to ride for your boys sometimes. Now, Jeff, if you could have worked this right, man, you could have gone in as a singles and then know that the tags.
Look, man, he screwed it up. He screwed it up. It's not going to happen, man. Let him get his one ring, get his ass on in there, get on up out of there. So,
it could have been a double time there, Jeff. Could have been a two-timer.
He messed that up, man. He messed it up. That's on him. But no, man. Yeah, man.
I wonder, because I obviously Hall of Fame's around the corner.
Yeah.
They haven't announced any names yet, which is weird. Normally, we know at least one name.
Normally, something's leaked by now.
So who's ever doing the calls this year is definitely keeping things on lock and key, right?
Yeah.
But I think that when you think about the Hall of Fame, eventually they're going to run out of names. Like eventually, the top names are going to go away.
You know what names? Look, it's always going to be a Hall of Fame. It's always going to be enough names to go around as far as the Hall of Fame goes.
I don't know if that's true. Like, unless they shorten up the classes.
What do you think?
Then you're going to start putting everybody in.
Wait a minute. You think these guys today aren't going to get old? You don't think they're going to become legends?
They're not going to get old.
Is that what you're saying? They're not going to become legends?
And I'm not saying that. They're not going to get old in 5 years.
What about? I mean, what about? You don't think there's a boatload of names out there that's Hall of Fame worthy that hasn't, gotten the call so far?
There's some. I don't think there's a boatload though. I don't think there's a boatload. I think there are definitely a handful.
You remember we was having a conversation about 2 weeks ago, and you said, "Man, there's not too many people in the business that's been relevant with one name," and then everybody in the chat started just
telling me how wrong I was.
Exactly. So you don't think this situation is somewhat like that?
It could be. I could just not be thinking.
Exactly my point. All right,
Big
that's
names.
Big names.
Big names.
Yes, it's a lot of big names out there. I think that we just haven't, sat down and really thought about for a second and say, well, should these guys be in the Hall of Fame or not? And then look at their body of work. That's why, the going into the Hall of Fame, is something that I think your body of work should be, say whether you get in or not. And it's just so many guys out there that have done so much for this business, perhaps that aren't even WWE guys that's out there.
Yeah. We'll see. That's what we should do. We should go. I know we talked about who should go in the Hall of Fame, but we should make our predictions for this year's class.
Should the great Muta be in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah. Is Muta not in the Hall of Fame? Is he not?
I don't think
so. Okay. If he's not, I definitely think that, he should.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of people out there that we're just not thinking about, I think, that are Hall of Fame worthy, that never worked really in WWE, at least not for a significant amount of time or anything like that, that, definitely put in work to this business, and they're Hall of Fame worthy. Yeah.
You might be right. You might be right, Book. But hey, it's been a hell of a show, hasn't it?
Man, it went by quick, man. It went by quick. But I still got work to do, man. Work for me, it never stops. It's just beginning. And the thing is, it's all good. It's all good around here in the Huffman household. So, hey, man, it's been good for me. I hope it's been good for everybody in the chat today as well. We'll be back same time next week doing our thing. Got to get a special guest inside the Hall of Fame next week. I think I'm gonna start working on a special guest for the Hall of Fame next week. So stay tuned. You'll hear about it. But again, Bradley, I appreciate what you got. You got something?
No, I was saying
again. I appreciate you as always.
I appreciate you, Book. I'm about to go watch some Winter Olympics.
More curling, huh?
More curling. I can't get enough of it.
All right, man. We'll see y'all same time next week. Peace. We out.
Can you dig it, you sucker?